I can motivate you all day long. But if I'm motivating you without a map, if I'm motivating you without clarity, I'm going to say that word 100 times this episode. And if it's not clear by the end of this episode that clarity is the key to kindness and growth and progress, then I've done you a disservice by not being clear enough. Hey, what's going on, family? It's Zay, and welcome to the Guava Life Podcast. If you're someone looking to grow in any area of your life, whether that's your faith, your health, your relationships, your business, even your content, you are in the right place. We love to have conversations centered around habits, developing the disciplines, even the mindset to fulfill that thing that God has uniquely placed in each and every one of our hearts. Hey man, Guava literally stands for get up and venture anything. And I genuinely believe that everyone has one unique thing, if not more, that God is trusting you to develop. And it is my mission to encourage and nurture and build to help pull that out of you for you to serve and share it with the world. And of course, I love to start every episode by saying thank you. Thank you for taking just a moment out of your day to sit and listen to a conversation about, well, today, clarity, right? I want to say thank you for the messages, the DMs, the follows, the people that are a part of Guava School. I see you, we love you, and we appreciate everything that you're doing, even to the new members of our Freedom Writers community, anyone who's interested in writing and joining a community of people who enjoy the Word of God. You can join us. The link will be down in the description for that. But for today, I want to talk about clarity. There's a lot of times being in ministry full time, you're working with teams, you're working with people, right? In ministry, you're in the people business. So clarity is kindness. I've heard that from my pastor. I don't know where he got it from, but there was a moment where we were struggling as a team where the messages were like telephone, right? We would get the information from our upline, and by the time we shared it down to our downline, the message was completely missed. And that's so normal, so natural, so human for us to do that, whether that's in business, whether that's in our relationships, whether that's our marriages, whether that's our families, whether that's in our prayer life, right? There's always a moment where you want to get extra clear so that you can not only be kind to the people around you, but you can be kind to yourself, your future self. Think about it. You're someone who's creating goals and habits and disciplines for yourself. And if you're not clear enough, you'll start to think that everything is important. But if everything is important, then nothing's important. So if we really get clear on what we want to do in our future with our business, with our content, with our systems, with our family, with our finances, then nothing gets a chance to be missed, right? It doesn't get a chance to be confused with, oh, I thought that was X, Y, or Z, right? Because we've clearly wrote it down, or we've clearly communicated it where it could be referenced and know, okay, this is how I make my next decision. This is how we're gonna spend that dollar. This is how we're gonna spend that Friday night. This is how we're gonna do that campaign. This is how we're gonna develop that product. I could go on and on, right? We've all been in a space where clarity was just not clear, where communication was just not clear, where our confidence in what we needed to do next as a part of the team, as the leader, as a father, as a brother, as a sister, in all these areas, right? So clarity is an act of love. It removes confusion, creates confidence, and gives people something that they can move forward with, whether it's in your relationship with God, your family, your team, or your own future. You honor people when you're clear, right? And I couldn't agree more. Again, I'm always going to be tying it back to being a part of an amazing team at my church, being a part of an amazing program as a coach. I coach entrepreneurs, I coach people in their content, I coach basketball players, youth basketball at that. And sometimes as a coach, you can communicate at a level where it's clear to you, but you may have to break it down to where it's clear to the people that you're communicating it to. You can't always assume that communication is received the way that we may receive communication. So in those seasons of my life where, it's not just me, even when it is just me, I can have these ideas. I can go, we have so much information being thrown at us these days, whether that's from Instagram, TikTok, ChatGPT, Claude, all this AI stuff. that I can even get myself overwhelmed where I put a prompt in there and I have all this information come back at me. And if I'm not clear on what direction I want to go in, if I'm not clear on my own capacities and knowing who I am, being self-aware, I will be lost trying to solve everything, being overwhelmed and frustrated that I can get nothing done, right? So it's very, very, very important to see that clarity is what's most important in all of this, right? So one of the greatest gifts that, especially if you're a leader of the household, leader of a team, it's not necessarily motivation all the time where, hey, you got this, you got this. I can motivate you all day long. But if I'm motivating you without a map, if I'm motivating you without clarity, I'm going to say that word 100 times this episode. And if it's not clear by the end of this episode that clarity is the key to kindness and growth and progress, then I've done you a disservice by not being clear enough with that. So again, if I don't have clarity, motivation is not going to do anything for me, right? You can motivate me all day long, but I don't have a clear roadmap. I tell one of my players, hey, run 100 miles an hour and go all out 100%. If I don't tell them what to do, when to do it, how to do it, if I don't give them clear direction on how to use that strength, how to use that ability, how to use that gift, then we're all back to square one with no idea where to go, right? So it's not enough just to motivate someone. You have to give clarity, okay? Because confusion creates hesitation. And we've read in our Bibles, right, in Habakkuk 2:2, hopefully I pronounced that right, forgive me, scholars, if I don't. Then the Lord said to me, write my answer plainly on tablets so that a runner can carry the correct message to others. That's important because having clarity allows us to move quicker, smoother, more confidently in the direction we want to go. So if we think of our personal lives, if I don't set a routine daily, if I don't break down the actual vision and reverse engineer it down to what I need to do today, almost hour by hour, who I need to call when, well, why do I need to call them? If I'm not clear down to the day, almost the hour, then I won't be confident in where I'm going, right? So the scripture literally says, so that a runner can carry the correct message to others. Think about the levels in leadership from top down. You think about the levels in our marriage. Okay, our marriage conversation, how is that communicated down to the children? All right, and our relationships with our jobs, our clients, our customers. If I don't set the right boundaries, it's not clear, how is that going to get communicated to others correctly? You tracking? Write my answer plainly. My favorite part of that is it doesn't have to be sophisticated, right? I talk about coaching, right? Imagine drawing up a play for my players and I'm talking in college level terminology. And I'm speaking, yeah, we're going to do a zipper screen here. I want you to come off and I want you to kick to the corner on a sideline fade. Then you're going to drift down. I need to make it very plain. I need to write it down on the whiteboard. I need to draw it out. I need to speak at the level of my audience. So if you're marriage, speaking down to your children, speak at a level they understand. You don't have to water it down. You can get your message across very, very clear, but you're communicating it at a level where it can be received, right? And get confirmation that it is received. Are you tracking? So there's no need to speak at a college level if you don't need to be clever. You know, as an entrepreneur, you don't need to be clever when you're writing out your plan. You don't need to be tricking and trying to like sound smart. No, be very, very clear. I love, even when I'm talking to ChatGPT, believe it or not, yes, I talk to ChatGPT. I say, when you write this message, make it to where even a fifth grader can understand it. That's my favorite line to add into ChatGPT. And I challenge you today with that. When it is time to write the vision, when it is time to write the instruction or write direction for anything in your life, make it to a level where it's easy to understand. Because if a week from now you come back and you're in a different headspace and you read what you wrote and you're like, wait, this is big brain activity right here, right? You want to be able to look at something you wrote months ago. You want your team to be able to look at something you wrote a month ago and be able to take those tablets and run with it confidently, boldly with it. Tracking? All right. So with that being said, again, plainly, your family needs clarity. Your business needs clarity. Your future self needs clarity. Let's not miss that. Okay. Clarity removes frustration. Clarity 100% removes frustration. Going back to being a team player, if I'm communicating something with my downline and they can't get the job done, or if I didn't communicate it clearly enough and they can't get the job done, that frustration is going to fall on them, where they feel like they let me down, where they feel like they let the team down, they let the mission down. And then it comes back on me where I feel like, well, come on, I thought I told you to do the thing. But little did I know, I assumed that the communication was received in our relationships. Come on, how many times have we said something and assumed that it was caught? Shot a text message over and assumed that, oh, it was understood because you got a thumbs up on a message, right? We can't assume all the time that communication is received. And you think about John chapter 16, verse 25, where Jesus says, I have spoken of these matters in figures of speech, but soon I will stop speaking figuratively and will tell you plainly about the Father. Plainly. Jesus understood that there were seasons for mystery, but maturity is marked by greater clarity. Okay? As an entrepreneur, whenever I'm unclear, then it causes, like I said, when you put something into ChatGPT and ChatGPT spits this whole idea out, when you go to Instagram and you have 7 different gurus telling you 7 different things, that's unclear. But once you write it plainly and you don't just keep trying to put the pieces together from different people, and you write it plainly, it allows you to go smooth, slow, smooth is fast, able to run. But if you start to get overwhelmed, you start to beat yourself up because things just don't go as planned, where everything becomes important. But everything can't be important, because if everything is important, then nothing is important. So for my entrepreneurs out there, for my leaders out there, get clear, right? Clarity, and let me get clear on that as well. Clarity doesn't make the work easier. It just makes it obvious, right? A system doesn't make, like, if I got to go to the gym, I got to go to the gym. Just because I got clear on the fact that I got to do chest today doesn't make it easier. You still got to do the work. You still got to get in there and grind. But it makes the next step obvious. Okay, it's Tuesday, it's 12 p.m., that's lunchtime. Cooking is going to be overwhelming. I'm still going to be tired, making my lunch, going to get my lunch, spending money on that lunch. How much do I spend on that lunch? What's my budget? It doesn't make it easier. It just makes it obvious. It makes it simple to make the right choice. Okay, I was reading a book, Atomic Habits, as well, and I talked about this in previous episodes on creating systems to make the right decision easy to make. And that's where, again, clarity comes into place. That's where being sure on what we want to do, understanding what the direction is that we're going in, all of that makes these decisions easier to make. Is that clear? I hope that's clear. And by the way, by the end of this episode, I'm hoping that you could put in the chat clarity. Leave a review if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and just post the word clarity if this has been clear. If you're understanding, if you're struggling with any of these areas, again, clarity is kindness. Hey, what's going on, family? I hope this episode has been a blessing to you. I mean, clarity is one of those conversations that just need to be had, right? It sometimes becomes one of those things we put on the back burner because life gets to life in, and we just start to do whatever we think is priority. But if we could just take a moment to start to write things down in order, get clear on our own goals and our own habits, get clear on our own boundaries when it comes to our relationship with the Lord and our relationship with the people that we have around us. And this is why I want to personally invite you to joining us inside of the Guava Skool community, which is exactly what we focus on. There's a lot of times in my entrepreneur journey where I had a bunch of ideas, I had a bunch of things, but I didn't necessarily know how to prioritize what's more important. I didn't know how to trim away the fat, so to speak, and really hone in on clear, measurable results. So that's exactly what's inside the community. We meet a few times a week. There's a community of people that get to hold you accountable to the things that you're believing God for. So if you're a content creator, an entrepreneur, someone who wants to create a business, you want to be inside this community. So scan the QR code, and I look forward to seeing you on the inside. Let's get back to the episode. And going back to leadership, right? We're all leaders in our own capacity, right? So we started with how you should write the vision down for yourself. Always. Very clear. I'm a big, huge fan of writing everything down, much less our vision, our goals, our routines, our instruction, our processes. Write those all down so they're easy to come back to, revisit, and come back and be great. Number two, we want to eliminate that frustration of overwhelming ourselves with so much information and getting clear on cutting back the fat. Sometimes we need to cut down on that fat and just focus on one thing, get lasered in, right? We don't drop any other ideas. We just get focused on one, right? The more focused you are, like a laser, instead of a light being shined, you could be a laser that can cut through the noise and create room for your dream, for your mission, for your vision to all grow, right? So being clear as a leader prevents the chaos, right? Again, as a communications director at my church, being a leader of my team, if I am not sharing, whether I'm sharing SOPs, processes, video demonstration, notes on how to do a certain task, what's expected, what shots to get, if that's not clear, you can see that result at the end, like where was the drop off of communication? And then you take the paper trail and you realize, wait, you never provided a shot list. You never provided clear instruction. You never did anything. You just assumed that they knew, okay, baptism's coming up. You need to capture baptism stuff, right? We can't assume that communication makes it across the board. We always remind ourselves of the game of telephone and give ourselves grace, give our teams grace, because we want to understand, okay, I did say that, but by the time it got to the third person, it didn't make it to the end. So simply go back, make a few corrections, but try to figure out where you can fill in those gaps of clarity, right? And when you're not clear, right? When you're not clear and the frustration starts to build, that's a toxic environment. That's a toxic culture. So again, I'm talking from a creative team leader, but we can all tie that to our marriages, our family, as parents, our business, our clients, whatever relationships that we're a part of. That culture, that boundary needs to be understood right from the beginning. The standard needs to be set so that our relationship can work the way it should, right? No matter what it is, no matter what area of your life that it applies to, we're all leaders in our own walks. Whether that's a leader of a club, whether that's a leader of a PTA, whether those parent communities at a school, right? No matter what you're a leader of, a book club, a Bible study, you're parenting, you're in a marriage, you lead a department, clear standards helps the culture stay healthy, right? It helps the culture stay healthy and reminds us that if everyone is being clear, I can't lack on my clarity, on my communication, on the way that I do work, right? There's a level of excellence that comes in with that, right? So when we think about our vertical relationship with the Lord, the clarity there, it says in the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 7, when you pray, don't babble on and on as the Gentiles do. They think their prayers are answered merely by repeating their words again and again, right? We want to have meaningful conversation, vertically and horizontally. So if it says to us in Matthew to communicate to the Lord in prayer with clarity, it's the same way with our horizontal relationships. We want to put everyone in the best position to be able to respond to what we need, what we want. Giving these, going back to using plain language like we heard in Habakkuk and in John chapter 16, we want clean, plain language. We don't want to babble on and on. We don't want to use scholar scholar knowledge, right? Where the people that are trying to receive it and going to take the tablets and run with it, they can run with it with confidence. Okay, so again, I could go on and on about clarity, why it's important for you to write the vision, make it plain, why it's important for you to be 100% clear when communicating with your team. And it's double down on clear communication. Okay, it's not about more words. It's about intentional words. It's about intentional conversation. It's about intentional instructions and directions, not just for our team, right? In our calendars, in our business, in our marriages, in our friendships, in our leaderships, even in our prayer. All right. So with all that being said, I've said the word clarity probably 40 times already. I've probably said it 40 times already. So I want to leave you with something practical for you to do this week, right? For the remainder of this week, I want you to really hone in and think about. Choose one area of your life that's creating stress. Anywhere in your life that's creating stress. Anywhere. Again, relationships, leadership, teams, family, money, business, work, entrepreneurship, content, systems, whatever. Track it back to clarity. Have I been actually have I actually been clear? And you ask yourself these questions. What isn't clear? Maybe it's your goals. Maybe it's your morning routine. Maybe it's the expectations with your spouse. Maybe it's your content strategy. Maybe it's your finances. And I want you to write it down. I want you to write it down. It may all come out, but write it all down. Then simplify it, make it plain so that you can move confidently with those tablets, okay? One area of life that's stressing you out. For me, I'll be honest, some days I think about content stress me out. Sometimes I think about the team, my family dynamic. Sometimes it's my finances. And my finances is something that I got to get clear on. What are my goals financially? What do I want to do with my finances? What do I do when I spend? Do I keep my receipts? Do I track every dollar? Do I set myself a budget? Right? We want to be sure that those things are set clear. Write it down, simplify it, make it plain. And your future self will thank you. All right? Your future self will thank you. Your family will thank you. Your clients will thank you. Your team will thank you. Okay? Notes, finished. Notes, finished. I said clarity 30 times. I said clarity 40 times because I'm saying it as I repeat it. It's very, very important. It's the only way that you're going to actually make measurable progress in whatever it is that you're doing. If you're saving up for that house, you're going to need to make measurable progress. So you have to get clear on what's measurable, what the goal is, reverse engineer it, and communicate it with the people around you. Communication is kindness. Clarity is kindness. Your future self will thank you, and everyone else that's connected to you will thank you. So I hope you were able to take something away from this episode. I hope you were able to take something away that you can be able to implement as soon as today. As you were listen to this episode again and find areas of your life where any of these things hit home. And whatever that thing is that's stressing you out in any area, ask yourself the question, have I been clear? What is the goal? Write it all out, simplify it, make it plain, and hand it to the people that can run with it with confidence, even if that's yourself. That's all I got for today. I hope that was beneficial to you. It has definitely blessed me preparing this episode. And as I move forward to being able to listen to it over and over and over, I look forward to just reading the comments, reading the reviews, and hearing from you guys on what has changed in your life with your clarity.